You're listening to Bold Hearts, Big Moves, the show for female entrepreneurs who want it all: a thriving business, deep self love, and fulfilling relationships. I'm Erin Anderson, and each week we will dive into how to set stronger boundaries, make empowered choices, and show up in life and business with boldness, authenticity, and heart. Because let's be real, the money you make is directly related to the love that you have for yourself and the strength of your relationships. So if you're ready to lead with love and make those big moves with those bold hearts, let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Bold Hearts, Big Moves. So I've really been sitting here thinking today about what is it that I really want to share with you in the last episode, and I know it's been a couple of weeks, guys. Please be patient with me as I get more intentional with this podcast, because I really want this to be a place where you guys can come and you can heal trauma, you can set boundaries, and hopefully get some wisdom to create some cash. And I've got, like I said, some great people lined up to talk about business and relationships and all kinds of things that really go into creating the world and the whatnot that you say you want, those results, like getting those results and those really, really yummy things in your life. And so as I'm doing that, I'm having to get a lot more intentional about a few things. And another thing that I've realized that I need to do is I'm actually going to be going back to the other side of the struggle, and I'm going to be opening that podcast back up again to talk about trauma healing, because it's such a deep concept when it comes to creating results and making sure that we have the results that we want. And a lot of the times, the reason why we're stuck is usually due to some sort of a trauma response, something that we didn't even realize we were traumatized by. But basically, whatever we see in life, and oftentimes, we may have seen our parents go through something really hard when it comes to money, and that scares us. And or there's societal, there's generational, there's personal, there's lots of different things that go into our money stories, and a lot of stories that go into our money stories. And sometimes those stories aren't always our own. But I think societal wise right now, we're seeing a lot of people struggling. And because we're seeing a lot of people struggling, we're taking that as proof that money is really hard to make. And you're not alone in that. I see a lot of people, a lot of people, men and women alike, families alike, that are catching that message. And the truth of the matter is, though, is we have to find the truth. I know plenty of people too where money is so easy to make. And I think that, we have to be very, very careful with our beliefs around our relationships and our beliefs around our money. And so today we're talking about healing trauma. Because if you remember, the three pillars of what I do is we heal trauma, we create boundaries, and we create cash. Because these are three things that women, especially women entrepreneurs, whether you're a mom or whether you're actually dealing with a business, there's a spectrum of entrepreneurship when it comes to women, but these are three things that are on your mind: healing, creating creating yourself, finding out who you are, and creating cash. And as I've been doing coaching, and I've been speaking, and I've been doing a lot of events and things like that, one thing that I find a lot of people want to know is, more about themselves, like why they work the way they do, why they tick the way they do. And I'm a firm believer that there's a reason to that, not just because it's the way you were made, but I think that there's a big reason too in the fact that you guys are there's stories. There are stories behind why, like why you tick the way you do. And it's not just because it's the way you were made. Sometimes it's what you have been shown. Our brains are really, really, really smart. They're amazing. This is why when you go sit down at a movie, you get taken through an emotional journey too, not just what you're seeing on the screen. Cognitively, you know that what's on the screen isn't real. You know that. But subconsciously, your brain doesn't know that. It thinks it's actually experiencing everything real time. And so that's just a movie, my loves. Everything else, like everything that's actually happening in real time, you're going to take as something as deep-seated truth, but it's not always the case. I think about my own healing and I think about like the lies that I had believed because my real-time experience had taught me that those things were true. And it wasn't until I actually gained a different perspective, saw that something else could actually be true, that I began to start healing my trauma. And since I've healed my trauma around my thought processes and what I have seen and what I've experienced and etc., now that I've healed a lot of that, and I'm still in a healing process, I'll be honest, guys. Trauma never stops. Not, that means healing never stops. Okay? But I'm still as I work through a lot of the traumas that I have personally experienced, and still am experiencing, let's get that right. But I'm noticing a difference in the way that I view money, the way I attract it, and the way that it comes to me, and it's far more genuine. And so today, like I said, we want to talk about like healing our trauma so that way we can unlock abundance and talk about your money story in a way that you never knew was actually possible, in a way that you never knew you actually had a money story like that. Okay. So let me tell you this, like money isn't the villain in your life. Okay. A lot of times we look at money and we're like, oh my gosh, I hate money. I hate money. But the truth of the matter is we all want more of it. We all wish we had more of it. I'm recording this around Christmas time right now, and I can tell you that uh, I guarantee that every single one of you right now is thinking about how much more you wish you had, right? And that's okay. It's also okay to not have more. It's okay both ways. But we want to step into being able to open ourselves up to more abundance because, well, number one, we want it, but I actually believe personally that more abundance is a godly thing. I actually truly believe that because God is abundant himself. He's a very rich person. Everything on this earth, everything, the gold, the silver, the platinum, the cars, the houses, the dirt, the chickens, like I'm just everything is his. It belongs to him, and he gives it to us for our use. Therefore, he is abundant. But what does he think to make him so? Now, I'm not saying that, we're going to be gods tomorrow or anything like that. Like to think like him, to be like him, it's a process. And we are just a tiny little infinitesimal speck of what he is. But our unhealed stories, when it comes to money and when it comes to what this world has shown us what money is, they are not his stories. They are not his story. They are not his beliefs. He knows how valuable abundance is because abundance is attached to, in a lot of ways, happiness. When we don't have enough, when we are not able to provide Christmas for our kids or help that neighbor out or do what we say we want to do, we're not 100% happy when we don't have that freedom. And this is something he knows. So I truly do believe that, abundance is a godly thing, being truly abundant, but it means that we also have to have an abundant mind. And that is tricky when everything you see around you says that abundance doesn't exist. But, you know, I've been listening to Mary Morrissey lately, and one of the things she talks about is how the creation of money and the creation of abundance, the things that we say we want, is actually at a level of love. Love is the vibration that creates more. But I would even go so far as to say that many people out there don't even believe in that. They don't even believe love exists because of their personal experiences. Some of you listening to this podcast, maybe you think that men don't know how to love, or maybe women don't know how to love because that's been your experience. But the truth of the matter is, we need to actually step back, check our thoughts, and see what really, truly could be true. We need to notice what we're thinking, notice how we're feeling, notice what we're noticing. Be honest about it. If we sit there and run from what we're experiencing or what we're feeling, that can be detrimental. That's never going to get us the result that we say we want. And even if, somehow it we did get some money from running from it, like I don't know how that works, but the truth of the matter is honesty is something we can be consistent in. And therefore, we can have a consistent good feeling when it comes to creating abundance and creating more for ourselves. And the last piece here is choosing truth. See, we think something might be true, but if that's leaving us in frustration and confusion and anger, which is often the emotions that we have around money, and also the emotions we have when we're being traumatized, fear, abandonment. If those are the emotions we're having, there's a good chance that we're believing something that is not true. And we need to do a deeper dive and find out what really is true and how that truth works in our lives. And I've noticed, you know, going through my own healing journeys and my own healing processes, that the more truth that I take in, the more that I'm really honest with myself about why I have the result I do, why it's not the result I want, and um, where my thoughts and my feelings have been this whole time, it gives me clarity in my action and it gives me clarity in my purpose. Choosing truth heals trauma. And choosing truth also helps you understand yourself and how to create what it is you say you want. Okay? So, this is also some of the work that I do in Bold Hearts and Big Moves, the actual course. So, if that's something that you're interested in, number one, you're getting kind of a sneak peek into it. But two, if that's something you're interested in, don't forget to message the show. I will get back with you on when we will be starting that up again. Um, but you know, this way too, you're at least getting some semblance of not only what I do, but also how to take your next steps. Okay. So first and foremost, let's talk about like why trauma and abundance are connected. Okay. First and foremost, you can't receive what you say you want in a nervous system that only knows survival. Okay. I'm going to say that again. You cannot receive what it is you say you want when your nervous system is stuck in survival mode. Okay. And the reason being is because when you're stuck in survival mode, you are not in a receiving mode. You are in a this could be a danger, this could be a danger, this could be a danger, this could be a danger type of a mode. Okay. You're worried about if you take something in, that thing that you take in could be lethal in some way. Trauma teaches the body that having more is not safe. So even though you say you want more, you're worried about having more. And a way to show you this, okay? If you have been starving for a very, very long time, you might take a look at like a grand banquet and think you can eat the entire banquet right then. But in reality, you have to start very, very small with like liquids, and then move into like forages and things like that. Just things that are very, very easy to digest. And your nervous system is looking for that easy to digest thing. Okay. This is why we want to get into truth, is because truth, if you're open to truth and if you're open to taking action on truth, is easily digestible. Okay. Now, sometimes truth is kind of harsh, and sometimes our realities, it kind of comes up and slaps us in the face. But again, when we anchor ourselves into truth, we can digest what needs to be digested, give ourselves the time that we need to digest what we need to digest, and we can come back to what it is we say we want to do. And, in reality, this is actually something I've recently just gone through. You know, I just had just a really hard summer. Just a lot of things that just happened one at a time. Boom, 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 boom. You know, and eventually it just kind of felt like everything was super overwhelming. And so roughly around the end of September, I I don't want to say I crashed, but I just recognized that I had a major, major need for rest. A major need for rest. I needed to step away. This is why like everything kind of slowed way down in the podcasting, in my emails, like everything kind of slowed way down. And the reason why was because I needed that deep rest. Because with how much had happened, I had been pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing until I just couldn't push anymore. The intention was always to come back and to get back onto the podcast, to get back into connecting, to get back into what it was I was doing before, but in a much more intentional and aligned way than the way that I was doing things before. There were things that I had to let go of. that made me really sad. Um, my dog that I'd had for 10 years, and those of you that are animal lovers will understand, um, just it was in perfect health not too long ago, and one day ended up with a gash on his front leg. We weren't able to take him to the vet because all the vets were closed. It was Labor Day, and he ended up going septic and dying. And so like that was traumatic for me and my family. And on top of not only balancing my own emotions, because we didn't see this coming, on top of balancing my own emotions, I was also trying to help my children who had been raised with this dog to also regulate their emotions. Um, I mean, and that was just one thing that happened. And even though it was kind of a big thing for our family, there was so many other things that happened this last summer that was just really hard. Really, really hard on an emotional, financial, mental level, even physical in some ways. And so after all that happened, and even though like I understand like how to heal trauma, how to deal with trauma, after all of that happened, I needed some deep rest time because I have to like one of the things I've said for a long time is it's so important that you do not abandon your relationship with yourself. This is, from a Christian perspective, one of the ways that the adversary gets into us is when he can convince us to not listen to ourselves, to not be one with ourselves, to abandon ourselves in some way. He loves that because we're far more susceptible to him and his stories than we are when we're listening to ourselves, our own intuition, and our own uh, abilities, our own Savior, our own God, when we abandon ourselves. Because we're literally saying we're not worth it. We're not worth, there's that word, money and relationships, same word. We're not worth it. And the adversary loves to pounce on that. The problem is when our nervous system is burnt out, our brain kind of develops like these money protective behaviors where we're under earning, overspending, fear of selling, self-sabotage when it comes to clients. And we keep ourselves in just a really, really vicious cycle that way because it keeps our nervous system on overload, right? But we do these things because we're like, I need this. I need. And we get into a need type of energy. And we need to be careful with the need energy because needs are great, but really what we're saying we need is actually something that we want. I want more time. I want more freedom. I want more money. I want to be able to give my kids Christmas. I want to be able to balance my finances and I want some savings. I want. But we want them so desperately that sometimes our brain is tricked into thinking they're in need. And if we don't get it, then all of a sudden we're out of survival. And if we can't survive without this need, then our brain shuts that down and tells us that we can't have it, otherwise we won't survive. Abundance really does require us to think safely about things, to think wisely about things. Healing trauma restores the ability to receive, to hold on to steward in a healthy way, to grow. Because the truth of the matter is you don't need to hustle. You actually need safety, especially as a female entrepreneur. Safety is so key to women. And the reason being is because, well, we are the weaker sex as far as a physical way. Physically, we are weaker. We're easy, and we know this. For generations, women have been preyed upon. We know this. So hustling, we think we need to hustle sometimes so we can have safety, but the truth of the matter is our safety comes from truth. Again, another reason why we need to step into a truthful uh, mindset, being honest with ourselves, like really honest with ourselves, so that way we can receive and create more of what it is we say we want. So let me tell you this. Um, it is really normal, though, when women aren't feeling safe by either societal trauma or generational trauma or developmental trauma, like whatever the trauma is that has created a lack mindset in us, it is normal for us to shut things down, right? Our brain wants us to feel like we can survive because survival is more important than safety in our minds. But when we have both survival and safety, we can create some amazing, amazing scenarios, things. And so let me talk about like what societal trauma looks like, okay? Number one, women have historically been excluded from financial decision making. Really, it's been maybe the last 100 years that that's been more of the norm when financial decisions have had to be made. But historically, it's been the man that's made all of the financial decisions. And so for us, one of the ways I kind of see this come up is feeling like we cannot make a decision because we're not the ones that made the money. We can't spend the money because we're not the one that made it, right? Like that's something that's really burned into our brains on a societal level. And I see that across the board. Women who won't invest in themselves because their husbands aren't okay with it. Women who won't get what they need because their husbands say that they don't need it, right? And like I get like that's such a scary thing to challenge because especially if you're reliant on your husband, um, facing that irritation, that anger, that disappointment, or possibly worse, and I hope none of you are in that situation, but is a terrifying thing, okay? There's also a narrative about wanting wealth and how wanting more wealth equals greed. That if we want more for ourselves, then all of a sudden we're greedy. That also kind of goes into like the historically excluded from financial decision making. Like anytime a woman tried to spend money, she was considered greedy or not grateful enough, right? And a few others, hustle culture conditioning, good women don't talk about money, hyper independence as a shield. Um, Let me talk about that one so we can kind of explain that. Like women, when they feel like they can't trust anyone else, that's a big problem today. They'll become like hyper independent as a shield, as a way for nobody else to come in. But that's so against the feminine nature. We, as a woman, we tend to do better with connection. But the problem with hyper independence is that totally and completely leaves us alone. It leaves us without connection and fearing connection more because that's one of the ways that we have been violated. Okay? So we'll go out, we'll do everything by ourselves. We don't need anyone else. We don't need a man, right? Um, or we don't want one. Truth of the matter is, do we need one? No. But it's so much different and so much more beautiful when we want one by our sides, a good one. Okay? And then also comparison culture, and how that equals shame. We women especially, we compare ourselves to other women, other people consistently. She's so much better than me. She's so much sexier than me. She's so much prettier than me. She's got a better body than me. Better in every way but me. And that tells us again to fracture ourselves, to abandon ourselves because we're not good enough. Do you see kind of how these mindsets, even though like society or around us, they might say that something like that is true, but these mindsets aren't true. They're absolutely not. Okay. And for an example, if you understand that you are a daughter of God and you understand what that actually means, that's what you see. So somebody might be better looking, somebody might be skinnier, somebody might be except XYZ, but that does not change how valuable you actually are. In my book, if I say that I'm not good enough, I'm actually saying that God created something less than. And I can't do that to him. If I trust him, I also trust that he created something amazing when he made me. So let's talk about how societal trauma shows up in business, okay? Oftentimes we feel guilty about raising our prices, especially women. Oh my gosh, guys, I really see this again too. Like feeling like we can't earn money because that's our husband's job. Or sometimes it also looks like this. I'm so angry at him because he's not earning enough. And now you might look at that and be like, but that's true. But it's also okay for us to earn money. It really is okay for us to go out and earn a living. Should it be respected? Yes, absolutely. Okay. Is it possible to do it with a family? Actually, it is. Okay. It might be a little bit harder, but it's so much better when husbands and wives can share roles. And, but we feel guilty about raising our prices because we're worried about being greedy. We're worried about making financial decisions. Again, like that's where that sticks into. Hiding our expertise because we don't want to seem too much. We don't want to outshine. We don't want to compare, etc. Giving discounts to avoid being too much, right? To being too expensive, like they can't afford me. Making yourself small so others feel more comfortable. Oh, I see that one a lot too. And being afraid to out earn spouse, friends, or family because then you're going to lose that relationship, right? So here's the thing, healing societal trauma. What we want to do is again, notice, be honest, and um, oh my gosh, guys, we want to notice, be honest, and choose the truth. Okay. And you want to really notice like what are you thinking? Are you thinking maybe people judge me? People will judge me if I earn more money. Maybe these people will leave me if I earn more money. I won't have any followers if I up my prices. I won't have any clients if I up my prices. I won't XYZ. Maybe you're thinking making money is selfish, or maybe just there's that general ick feeling when it comes to creating more, like I don't deserve this. Okay? I just want you to notice that. Then I want you to be honest about that thought. Be honest about where the thought came from. Who taught it to you, directly or indirectly? Maybe you don't always see that, but maybe you can take a look and see like where it came from. Is it a societal thing? Are you just noticing this wherever you go? Is it something that maybe happened in your home? Is it something that happened generationally? Just notice the thought, okay? Um, notice maybe how you learned it. where you picked up on it, okay? And ask yourself, what results has that been giving you? Has it actually been keeping you safe? And if the answer is yes, in what way? Are you okay with that safety? Ask yourself what else could possibly be true. Ask yourself, like, if I were to actually receive this type of money, how would I feel receiving it? What if I could feel good receiving that type of money? How would I act? How would I think? Etc. Okay? And think about those thoughts and those actions. Do they make you a better person? Do they align you with who God wants you to be, who God created you to be? And then act. Raise your prices. Do the uncomfortable thing. Show up boldly. Take maybe a money-making risk. Let more people see your brilliance. Stand out. Be genuine. Be honest. Be present. Okay, my loves, that's it for today. We are going to get into personal trauma and generational trauma about money as well in the next episode, maybe 2 episodes, depending on how long we have. And we're also going to get into like creating the bold boundaries. We're going to get into creating the cash and get some ways that we can really up your income levels. But in the meantime, please, like I said, feel free. If you guys would like more information about Bold Hearts Big Moves, let me know. I will be opening up that program very soon. And like I said, we're going to be talking about healing trauma, creating those bold boundaries, and creating cash. So please feel free to message the show if you would like that, just by saying Bold Hearts Big Moves. And also, let me know if you guys have any questions. You can also schedule a call with me. The link is in the description below. And if you would like more help on your relationships, so that way you can create more, I would love to be a part of that journey with you as well. So anyway, my loves, that's it for today. I will see you next week in Bold Hearts Big Moves. Bye, my loves.
All right, Boundary Boss Babes. I'm super excited that you tuned in with me today. Make sure you tune in again next week as we chat about more Boundary Boss Babe topics. We're going to get into so many other things about how to set boundaries with your business, how to set boundaries with your relationships, so you can truly have the time, the money, and the flexibility that you are seeking. So tune in next week. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast. Let your other Boss Babe friends know about it. And also, if you've got any questions, make sure you submit them into the podcast by clicking on the send us a text message at the bottom of the podcast description. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. See you later, Boss Babes.